What's up, everybody? I'm in West Hollywood right now. I apologize for not being live last night. It wasn't last night. I wasn't live last night. I was at dinner at the Magic Castle, and you can't pull your phone out at the Magic Castle. So I couldn't. But I thought of you, and I was like, damn it. I have so many really cool things happening, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for supporting the single because it is doing so well at radio. It keeps climbing. And today in the lobby, there were so many people because it's Grammy week. There were a lot of industry people, and it was really interesting and cool to meet people and talk to people. And they're like, "Oh, hey, you have," and I'm like, "Yeah." So it's just been a full circle. I have meetings tomorrow. I have a lot happening. So we have an early lunch. No. We have a brunch, a lunch, and then a dinner. And then after the dinner, I have to walk. Well, I don't have to. It's not very far from the hotel. Back to the hotel, get my bags, get an Uber back to the airport, take the red eye, fly into Louisville, Kentucky, get a vehicle, drive back to Owensboro, where I live, for my kid's birthday party. Wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Tonight, I was at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, funeral home and crematory. Amazing. I went to Judy Garland's grave, her mausoleum itself, and then of course, I Did It My Way. Stanley, the piano. Went to his. And then where else did I go? Who else did I go and see? Marilyn Monroe was at another cemetery. I would have gone to her. So was Matthew Perry. That was weird. Almost said Matthew Chandler Perry. There's a lot going on. My brain's like, so it's been really exciting, and I've been really excited about the new videos that are coming out about all of the presidents, like what happened to their remains after their death. Oh my gosh. I did not realize that President Lincoln, I knew he was embalmed almost at every stop, but I didn't know he was embalmed at every stop. I had not a clue. So I knew that. I learned that. And then President Zachary Taylor, he's buried in Louisville, Kentucky at the cemetery that's named after him. But it's really cool and interesting. If you hadn't watched that yet, he was presumed for like 140 years to have been poisoned because he was totally fine and healthy, and then he drops dead. So they finally disinterred him in the 90s, which there is a Nat Geo documentary about that, by the way, and you can watch it. So they disinter him from his original space. They do an autopsy, and they're like, dude didn't die from being poisoned. He actually died from I always mess it up, gastroenteritis and something-nitis. His belly hurt. He died of a bellyache. So then they actually built a new mausoleum for him. So his original mausoleum sits behind the mausoleum, and you can see that on a video that I've released on another platform. But it looked like it was dug into a hill. The original still stands, and then the new one is right in front of. And so he and his wife are buried there. Nonetheless, very interesting, and I'm grateful that you all find it interesting as well. We're also doing this series where like things that are found in people's bodies, it hasn't released yet, but like forceps and retractors and stuff like that. Yeah, I know. The webs we weave and the rabbit holes we find ourselves going down. The cemetery today was insane. I talked to a funeral director there by the name of Jasmine, who I said, I want a tour, but they had so many families coming in for arrangements. And you don't think about, like, obviously Los Angeles, huge. And one of their plots, is $30,000. That doesn't include the opening and closing. That doesn't include the vault, all of that. 30 grand. It doesn't include even the monument, obviously. Why would it? But I was like, wow. But the property is pristine. It is incredible. So you go in, there are freaking peacocks. There are peacocks walking around. I'm not kidding. Like legitimate peacocks. And you go in, the office is to the left. And then when you go to the right, I mean, you can go to the left too, but when you go to the right, there's this huge chapel. And that is the funeral home itself. You go in there, and that's You know, they were pulling in all these their hearses with their caskets. And then next to it, I believe, is either another chapel, but I felt like it was like a mosque or a synagogue of sorts. And then you just have mausoleums, the most magnificent, huge. I filmed a bunch of it and I'll put it on a video here. Huge. We're talking up like 10 rows of loved ones, and then it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And then it builds back. But the coolest part for me was you're in the middle of the city, you don't hear anything, and then straight back is where this road ends, and you see the Stars of David. So it's Jewish mausoleums. You go in, and it is the most magnificent. You see all this stained glass on the ceiling, and then you see all the way to the back just a wall of mausoleum spaces. And then the left and right, the longest hallways ever, are probably 10. I don't know the exact number. I could be wrong. I will look back at the footage, but high and way down. All of these spaces are set aside for loved ones that are that practice Judaism. A lot of these are still not available per se, but the loved one's not in there. And it is pristine. It's such a pretty, pretty space. I don't know how they built it, because it also serves as a wall. I can't explain it. And there's ivy that grows all the way up. So if you're on the inside of the cemetery, you're seeing just these beautiful ivy walls to separate the holy cemetery space and then the outside. It's really, really cool. So I walked those grounds for a little bit, and I was just thinking, wow. And then I went and asked where they did all the care, like the preparation and the cremation, and they pointed me to behind all of this big mausoleum. And I was like, oh, that's where. Judy Garland's grave has red slipper, which I thought was really cool. And then they have, I'm trying to think of all the other Bugsy, what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. I've got a lot going on in this little here thing. What's his name? He was like a mobster, I think. Bugsy, big. But then you go to the back towards where the mausoleum for those who were Jewish faith, and you turn around, and then it's just perfectly framed. The Hollywood sign up in the hills. It's so cool. I mean, it's a beautiful place. There were so many families in the offices that were waiting to make arrangements, so being mindful of that, obviously. But I was so intrigued. They had a map on the wall. It was like an original map. I don't think they ever thought, like the early days of Hollywood. I don't think they thought Hollywood would be what it is now, so massive. So you have just the plot of land and just the few spaces that were marked. And then next to it is this massive map that takes up the entire wall to show what it had grown into. Seagull, yep, Bugsy Siegel. Bugs, yeah. It's really cool. I mean, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, there's something like, not living here, you feel it. And I think it's kind of like if you live in a beautiful city or on the beach, for instance, you kind of take advantage, you take for granted the scenery that you have. And it might be the case here too. You go through your motions, but you can feel the electricity, the creativity in the air. And it's very cool. You have so many like-minded creative people, and it's fun to just watch stuff happening and how small the world is, in the sense of all of us are so connected. I mean, you're 1 degree removed from people that you might hold up on this like high pedestal, and you think it's, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it's just, they're right there. So I'm really excited about everything that's happening. I really am. I mean, there are so many labels and management, and everybody was around today, and just everybody's talking music, and it's really fun to hear, because they talk, because everyone kind of works in collaboration with each other. And so everyone knows everybody, and it's really neat. But all that to say, it was my first time last night seeing somebody smoking crack. We were driving, and we were at a stoplight, and this dude's screaming. I'm looking over. He's at the bus stop, of course, and I didn't know what was in his hand, and it was just a crack pipe, just standing right there in the center of the city. You know what? Owning it, to each their own. We're going to dinner in Beverly Hills here in just a minute. So we've got a lot of really cool things happening. I'm really excited and grateful for all of the support. And I tomorrow have all these really cool meetings, and I'm fired up because it's full circle. It's like the only time in life you're going to fail is when you quit. And if you quit, of course you're going to fail. But sooner or later, if you continue to do what you love and move the needle and not listen to the noise, which is maybe negativity or people who don't support you, and you do it because you know it's the right thing to do, then sooner or later it starts to hit. And I'm really excited about it. So I want to say thank you for supporting. It's been so much fun. It's been so much fun. I mean, the people that I've talked to today, it's crazy. We've had I'm not allowed to announce some home runs that we've had, but today was some really cool stuff. Like, just like, holy crap. Yeah. And, we'll get back to the regularly scheduled stuff. And as life starts to shift even more, I don't know how the lives are going to go. I mean, obviously, when we're touring and, it might be while traveling, it might be in an airport, but we're going to keep these going because it's really fun. But be watching for the series of things that happen to presidents remains, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His wife was 6 hours away when he died. Took her 6 hours to get there. She didn't want to release his body. And so for 3 hours after she got there, she just stayed with him. So rigor mortis had set in when the embalmer got President Roosevelt. And his embalming report was 15 pages long because when people saw him, it was documented that he was, forget the exact quote, but essentially he was discolored in black. The embalmer was like, this guy, I didn't get him for this long. He had sclerotic arteries, which basically means that his arteries would not allow for the embalming fluid to get through his body. So it was a nightmare for him, the embalmer. But that was interesting. I didn't know that. And then you have President Warren G. President Warren G. Harding. That dude, there's some fishiness there. You should watch that. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, very fishy. Very fishy. And he has children outside of wedlock, outside of his married wedlock, like a mistress. Yep. Going to dinner. I appreciate you. I'm so excited. There's a lot going on. Find what you love and be nerdy about it. This right here looks like the elephant in my studio, doesn't it? Might need to have a friend. I can't do that. All right. I'll see you all soon, okay?